everybody, and welcome back. We are going to talk today about Season 1, Episode 14 of our favorite show, Psych.
If you guys are enjoying the show, please remember to like and subscribe. We have had consistent growth since we started, and it's been great. And we're getting more, fan interaction as well. So please continue to email in, post questions or your comments about the episodes. And don't forget, last week we started doing the pineapple ratings for the episodes of the show. So we'll post this. We'll post it whenever we release the episode. After you listen to the show, go on and it's on Facebook, on our Facebook group, and select one of the ratings for how you thought this episode of Psych was. Remember, it's what you think of the episode of the Psych TV show, not the podcast. So we're really wanting to gauge how everybody feels about each of these episodes, if they feel the same as us or if you guys have different thoughts.
Although if you are, wanting to give us some feedback, we're open to that too. Send us an email. We'll give you all the links and emails and all that at the end of the show.
Just specifically, the pineapple ratings are for the show. I know I'm definitely very curious to see if episodes that we like or dislike, everybody else likes or dislikes. I'm interested in data like that. So,
definitely.
All right. So this week we have a birthday, right, Barb?
Yes, today, our recording day, is Tim Omenson's birthday. Happy birthday.
July 29th. And how old is he?
52.
Tim, you're a staple of the show. And then also several other shows. One of my favorites was your performance in Supernatural as Kane. You're great. I'm very excited that you are recovering very well and that you are in the third Psych movie. So happy birthday.
Yay! And we always want to give a shout out to our official Psych Fanatics of Facebook group. So many listeners come from that group, and we're so happy to have them. And that group, I know, is just fun for us every day on Facebook. So shout out to all of you guys. Yep. Okay, so episode stats, Matt, what do we got this week? What's this episode called?
This episode is titled Poker, I Barely Know Her. It aired on February 23rd of 2007. And it was written by Steve Franks and Carrie Lenhart. And this is the 14th episode of season 1.
And also John Sackmar worked on this one for writing as well. These people have long histories of writing TV episodes. And like Carrie Lenhart, for example, she did writing on Ed, Ally McBeal, Renegade, the original MacGyver, and Remington Steele. These shows go all the way back to the 80s, which is kind of awesome. And John Sackmar also worked on 14 episodes of Psych. He helped write on Ed, The Glades, and also some of my favorites, the Signed, Sealed, and Delivered mysteries that play on the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel. So that's kind of exciting. But my favorite statistic about this is that this episode was directed by Joanna Kearns. So Joanna Kearns is best known for her role as Maggie Seaver on the long-running sitcom Growing Pains. It aired from 1985 to 1992, and she played the mom on that show opposite Alan Thicke. She has also acted on The Closer, Chicago Hope, Knocked Up, and many, many, many other shows. After she had been in the acting world for some time, she went over to directing. And so she now has 71 directing credits, including some things like The Good Doctor, The Goldbergs, Man with a Plan, Fuller House, Nashville, This Is Us, Army Wives, and even Grey's Anatomy. So it was really exciting for me to see that she directed this episode of Psych, because I loved her. Back in the 80s, 90s, I loved her on that show. All right, so Matt, why don't you give us this week's synopsis?
Well, one of Henry's friends has a son that has gone missing, and Henry reluctantly refers him to Sean for help. Sean and Gus discover that poker is a part of the reason he has disappeared.
All right. So we're going to do things a little bit differently this week, and we're going to give you our pineapple ratings at the end. So right now we're going to go ahead and jump into the breakdown of the episode.
So the episode opens up with young Sean, and he's playing poker in the locker room of the police station with a bunch of his dad's coworkers. And it actually looks like there's a decent pile of money, like at least 20 or 30 bucks here. And Sean is on top of it. He's calling everybody on their tells, and he's just like calling what their hands are. And he's destroying everybody at this. And it's really funny too, because just everybody's so bummed that he's calling them all out and winning.
It's definitely an example of one of those times when like his hyper observation is really, really working to his benefit. Mm-hmm. But it almost to a dangerous level.
Yeah, and his dad knows that.
Yeah.
His dad knows that because in this next scene, here he comes in.
And I'll just add that I really love this young Sean. They got a winner with him when they got him.
Yeah, this young Sean is great.
He's so cute.
Yeah, this one is Liam James as young Sean, and he's the one that's with it most of it. They got him at one point, and they stuck with him.
Yeah, it was such a win for them because this kid is perfect as young Sean.
Yeah, no young Gus this time. Yep.
No.
But so Henry walks in, and all the guys break, and they're gone, and they leave Sean in the middle of the room
they
by
scatter.
himself.
They scatter.
Someone dropped a 40, and they all just ran away.
They really pushed him right under the bus.
Yeah, but and Sean knows he messed up.
Yeah, Henry clearly doesn't want him to be gambling. And the look of surprise on Henry's face when he tells him like he hasn't lost yet is great.
All right, so in this scene, they're still in the locker room, and Henry is like having a sit down talk with him where you normally would get his like Henry lesson from. And he asked him, okay, well, how much did you win from the poker game? And I thought this was really funny because this brings me back to when you're a kid, because like young Sean is just like shoving his whole fist into his little tiny pockets of his pants, and he's like grabbing out these wads of unfolded, just crumpled up bills. Mm-hmm. And I totally remember being a little kid, not having a wallet, and even if I did, not wanting to use it, and just like shoving like dollar bills and coins into my pockets, and it made this like lump.
When you're a kid, you don't really think about, let me keep all these bills straight and just fold them.
Mm-hmm. And then you're not dexterous enough to like pull them out properly. Yeah. It's just like you shove your whole hand. Your hand gets stuck in there because your pockets are so tiny. I don't know. That was just a really vivid memory for me, and I thought it just made me giggle a little bit. But yeah, he's pulling out wads of cash.
And here we are with Henry's lesson for the week. Henry's lesson of just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And it's brilliant punishment making him donate the money to UNICEF. I loved it.
Yeah, Henry took it all and just threw it into the donation basket because he could.
Yeah. That's good parenting right there. Teach a lesson.
Oh, see, here's another Henry lesson.
I know. I love it.
You think you're going to win every time, but there's always someone that comes along that's better.
And the house always wins.
The house always wins, eventually. And again, it seems like Henry's being really rough, but he has the intuition to know that with the abilities that he's giving Sean, it could easily be manipulated into monetary gain that way, and that only leads to trouble.
You know, that's so interesting that you bring that up, Matt, because I really hadn't thought about it. Mm-hmm. About how he knew what he was. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Look, I just had like a revelation when you said that.
Yeah, he knew that he was giving him a superpower.
Yeah, that is looking forward, going, he can either do good things with this or very bad things. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. I hadn't thought about that, and I'm really glad that you said it.
And I think that's also why, being a cop and seeing the worst parts of people, I think he could look at this, and I think he saw, that's why he was so aggressive with it, was to any other person, if they won, they would feel like they were being cheated. ability,
Yeah.
with his like hyper observance, with his deductive reasoning, and that would lead to physical harm
Yeah.
a lot of the time. So
Well,
yeah,
it
I
could-
genuinely think that that's why he was just so upset, is because he was thinking ahead, and like I gotta really make sure that he understands that you can't do this, and it's not good to do this.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about it. So now we're back at the psych office, and they are playing,
Paper basketball.
yeah, like with trash.
They have the basketball hoop set up over the trash can, and they're throwing like paper balls in. Well, Gus is, and then he challenges Sean.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's funny here because you can see how competitive Gus is right now. His face is like a foot away from Gus, or from Sean, and he like
And he blows in his face.
in his face right before he throws it.
He blows in his face, and Sean still makes the shot.
And he's very snarky about it. He does like a little jump back.
Okay, hold on. So this is one of my...
We're
is
3
like a
minutes,
favorite
29
line
seconds
here.
in.
This is a favorite line here when
God.
when Gus says they go to trivia or something.
No, well, so Sean makes the shot, and then Gus quickly goes to, how about trivia? History question. And then Sean looks at him, looks away, says, Grover Cleveland. And Gus is like,
goes,
damn, how do you do that?
how do you do that? Sean goes, it's the sweetness.
It's the sweetness. And he's like
That's
looking
the
away.
best.
He's like stretching his jaw out, looking all like snarky.
That's hysterical.
But you can see that Henry has snuck into the back of the Psych office and is about to startle them.
He's kind of lurking. Wait. Okay. So Henry says, are you going to invite we're at 3 minutes, 45 seconds here. And Henry says, are you going to invite me in? And Sean goes, wait. It's a trap. Or it could be a trap.
What's the rule with vampires? Gus, you've seen Lost Boy like 48 times. But Henry comes in and he is...
Well,
You
he's
know.
looking to criticize anything he can,
Yeah.
which is what Sean expected, by the way.
So we're at 4 minutes, 23 seconds. The line probably started at like 4 minutes, 20... Yeah, 4 minutes, 18 seconds. And Henry is walking around criticizing the way that they have things set up in the psych office. Their TV should be on a different window or a different wall that's not getting glare. The extension cords are overused. And he asks about where's your private eyes license? He's like, you're supposed to have one, right? And
Well, he just says license at first.
well, yeah. He starts it with where's
then
your
they
license?
have this nice little exchange about pilot's license and license to kill.
Yeah. He's like, oh, are you referring to my pilot's license? It's out back on the Cessna. Are you, oh wait, maybe you're referring to my license to kill. It's been revoked. Problems at the Kazakhstan border. I'd tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. But I can't because my license to kill has been revoked. He just nailed like the eloquence of the statement with the facial
beautiful.
features. He nailed it. It was such a Sean moment. I love that.
A
That's
great
one of those
exchange.
pure Sean moments. Maybe that should be a new notoriety or a notable point, is like a pure character moment, like something that someone does that's just so Lassiter or so Gus that like it's noticeable.
Like so on character, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
on
think that could be
character
a fun
moment.
notable point.
On character moment.
Especially since we're starting season 2 soon. Oh, I'm so excited for season 2.
I love season 2.
Okay, back to season 1.
So Henry then points out that he's talking about their private investigator license. And Gus points out that they don't need one if they're listed as a psychic.
And Henry calls it, yay for loopholes, sarcastically, which is exactly what Sean expects. So we find out that Henry is their 11 o'clock appointment that they were waiting for. And Henry explains that he has an old friend that he helped when he was a cop on the force. His name is Bill Peterson, and he owns like a car
dealership.
Car dealership, yeah. And his son, Brandon, has gone missing. And
Like what,
he
3 weeks
doesn't-
ago?
Yes. Yeah, it's been a few weeks. And he doesn't want to necessarily get the cops involved just yet. He wants to try and see if he can do this like one last time, try and see if he can get this family situation sorted out. So he goes to Henry, who he knows is a cop and he trusts, and Henry tells him that he's not a cop anymore and he should definitely involve the police. But he still doesn't want to get the police involved. And Henry, I guess in somehow on that conversation, was bragging about how maybe it went something like, you should go to the police. My son works for them all the time. He solves cases for them all the time. They're competent people. And I'm thinking that might have been how that conversation went, because now Bill Peterson wants to come and get Sean's help.
I'm thinking it probably went like, all right, if you don't want to get the police involved, my son, at least go to them. At least go to my son. Because I think he knows that Sean will work with the police to find this kid.
I think he might have also been hoping that Sean would turn it away. Although I don't think that he would think that.
I don't think that he would think that. I think he's thinking, look, if you're not even going to work with the police, then just at least work with my kid, He could help in some way.
Yeah.
Either way, it was kind of cool that he suggested Sean.
Yep, and Sean notices it too in this scene, because he notices that his dad was bragging on him.
And Henry says he accidentally mentioned it. It wasn't an accident.
Mentioned his track record, or that he's been in the newspaper. He was bragging on him. He vouched for him. And Henry does not want to admit it. Why don't you want to admit that you're proud of your kid? Come on.
I think in some ways, Henry knows that Sean looking for his approval keeps him, it drives him.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it drives him.
Henry is so good in this scene. This is so natural. Like, there's chemistry. And even with Gus, like, he's close, but he's not involved in their family stuff like that. Like, he's in the room. He just
lets it happen.
Yeah.
But here Henry has told Sean not to do all the flopping around crap.
Yeah. He's like, tell him to go to the police, but without all the flopping around. And he's like, I don't flop.
The flopping around. He says, I don't flop around all the time. Like, I don't know. That was funny to me.
His psychic episode. But we hear in the background the door opening to the psych office, and Henry is about to sneak out through the back and enters Bill Peterson, the client.
So in this scene, we have found out now that Bill Peterson's son was I guess not doing a great job at his dad's car
He
dealership.
used lazy.
Yeah, so he was fired. His dad fired him. He has been evicted from his apartment, and he forged a check from his dad for $30,000. So something's clearly going on here, and I think that this guy doesn't want to go to the police because he doesn't want his kid to get in trouble for stealing money from him.
Yeah, he's hoping that if he can find him, he can get through to him and get things fixed.
He can fix things on his own. So, yeah. So that's what we learned here. Okay, at about 8 minutes and 7 seconds, Gus is clearly trying.
He's trying to do what Henry wants.
Right. He's trying to turn him away, saying he thinks it's a better job for the police.
Can you even say it?
Sean says, Gus, don't be a gooey chocolate chip cookie.
Wow. All right.
It's such a good line. Oh, and then he starts flopping around.
And then Gus slaps him. So obvious, too.
Did he smack him on the butt? That's funny.
All right.
Are you okay?
We start with Juliet coming into the chief's office, and she's being secretive.
We've left the psych office. We're not with the guys right now. We're now back at the police station.
So Juliet walks into the chief's office, and she's being secretive. She closes the door behind her. She closes the blinds.
She has a guard outside the door.
Oh, I even missed that part. Yeah.
Yeah. She has another cop, and she tells him, I need at least 5 minutes. No interruptions. Do not let anyone in.
And the chief is looking at her like, what's going on? And Juliet says, we have a problem with one of our officers. specifically Lassiter. And the chief is like, what's wrong? Is this a problem for internal affairs? And she's like, no, it's Lassiter's birthday. And he doesn't talk about it.
Can I just say right now, how cool is it that we are recording this episode on Tim Owenson's birthday, and it's Lassie's birthday God, I didn't even think of on the show.
I didn't even think of that. Wow. That's cool crazy. It's almost like it was meant to be.
It's
like it was meant to be.
It is. Wow. Okay. So anyway, we find out also that Juliet wants to do something for him, and the chief is like, oh, no. Lassiter does not like surprises.
I love this. Yeah, she's like, Carlton has a very specific comfort zone, and you don't even want to know what we call the Secret Santa debacle of 2005. And the look on her face when she says it lets us know that something occurred on that day.
Serious. It was serious.
Like, I am imagining that he called in like bomb squad, like he had a drug sniffing dog, like sniffing all the presents.
Guns were pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Guns were pulled.
People had to sign in what present was theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel like something happened on that day. And,
I wish we knew.
Her face really says it all.
Yeah.
But Juliet just really wants to do something nice for him. And when she has this part where she's like, we don't really talk. He just kind of nods mostly. He doesn't really pose any questions. Although he does ask if we can ride in silence. And she looks crushed. She looks like somebody just kicked her puppy.
But she gives into it and is like, okay, we won't do anything.
And the chief kind of thinks it's funny. She's like, your heart's in the right place, but it's not really my problem.
So we are back with the guys now. They have pulled up in the little car.
In front of Brandon's apartment.
Brandon's apartment, the victim's apartment.
And Gus doesn't think that they're going to get anything from it since he was actually evicted from here and he doesn't actually live here anymore. And Sean corrects him and says, like, when was the last time you were evicted? And Gus is like, never. And he's like, yeah, this is my world. Do you want to understand? Like, getting evicted is a badge of honor.
So they find his storage locker in the garage where his extra stuff would have been. And that's like the ticket. That's what Sean was looking for. They can see that someone has tried to get into the storage unit already, so they know something was in there.
Yeah, they know Brandon wanted something.
Yeah, can I just say I'm not really sure what the people thought they were going to keep out by just using chicken wire to secure this stuff, but I mean, whatever. What I notice is that there's so much space beneath the piece of wood that they're looking at. Why would they need to go through the chicken wire at all? Both of their arms would have fit underneath the whole thing.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. No, maybe. It would have happened.
Regardless, though, they did find a place where apparently Brandon cut the chicken wire and he was reaching into like the little cage that was holding all of his stuff and he was reaching in for something, and Sean sees that he was reaching in for the mail. So he's able to like sneak his arm in there and pull out the mail, and they're sorting through it. And one thing that they notice, aside from the stack of like final notices, eviction notices, late bills, is a business card.
They also find a business card from a nursery, and they're thinking, what reason would he have to have a business card from a nursery? And to top it off, there's something on the back of it that's a little bit interesting. It's just like RRLRLL. So they're trying to figure out now what that means on that card. So they go to this nursery that was on the card, and they're kind of staking the place out a little bit, waiting to see if Brandon shows up. And they notice that there's like one nice car after another. You got a Porsche and a Ferrari and a BMW, Mercedes. All these expensive cars are at this place, and it doesn't really make sense. So they decide to go in, check it out a little bit.
I do have to butt in here because this bothers me so much. Is as this scene opened up, they're sitting in the car staking it out, and Sean has this chalupa,
Yeah.
And he specifically says, I'm about to take a bite of this chalupa. And then he pulls it up to his mouth to take a bite. And then they notice the cars coming in, and he puts it back down.
He never takes a bite.
He never took a bite. Does that not bother you? It bothers me.
I
feel like he
guess
should have
you gotta
taken
ask
at least
yourself,
one bite.
If you really wanted to eat a chalupa, would you put it back down?
Even if you
would.
didn't really want to eat a chalupa, you still raised it up to your mouth. Just take a bite.
Okay, but maybe he knows.
Know. It bothered me.
Maybe he knows that if he takes time to eat that chalupa, they're going to miss being able to follow this dude that's walking in. They got to follow the guy walking in.
It upset me. I feel like it was just weird that he pulled it up to his mouth, opened his mouth to take a bite, and he didn't take a bite.
It let you down.
Yeah. But back on point.
So
they decide that they
him.
want to follow one of these guys, these rich guys that are, walking into this place from their expensive cars, which are clearly not designed to take home bags of fertilizer in. So they are on the hunt. All right, so they follow the guy into this nursery and lawn shop, and they follow him through it and out back and into what they find out is a hedge maze. And they go walk through it a little bit trying to find the guy, and they get lost. And then Sean thinks back to the business card that he found that had the RRL, and he figures out that that's directions for the hedge maze. So he able to go back in his brain and remember where he was, and they find a door in the center of it. And they peek through the hedges on the side, and they see an underground poker game that's happening here in secret. And they also get to see some guy that lost a bunch of money pay for it with a finger. Yeah. When he loses the hand and he runs out of money, they take his finger there. And that causes them to get out of there abruptly.
And can I just say, I don't know how the people did not notice them there. Because they have the hedges pulled way far apart. And you can clearly see them. Anyone would have noticed them there.
Yeah, you just kind of that's one of those things that I definitely feel like the hedges would also be thicker.
Yeah.
In this situation, but yeah, I was able to look past that. Although, how cool would it be to have a hedge maze? I think it'd be pretty cool.
All right. The guys leave the nursery. They're like, we got to get out of here after they see a guy's finger about to be cut off. And they go back to the office where Henry is there and also Brandon's dad. Sean enters with these noise canceling headphones on, and Gus is explaining to them that it's heightening his other senses by not hearing. And in this scene, first of all, Henry's wearing one of his crazy shirts that's actually kind of mild. I kind of like it.
I was thinking about that too. I'm like, it's actually not an ugly shirt.
No, it's actually
just a regular shirt.
Yeah, it's all navy blue with the flowers imprinted in it. It's nice.
Although in regards to what you were saying before about how Gus is explaining it, I like to think that they don't talk about these at all. I like to think that Sean just walks in, Gus is following him. He sees Sean put on headphones, and they just ad-libbing.
Yep,
and,
he's got his back.
And he sees it, and as soon as he walks in, he's like, well, they're going to need some kind of explanation.
Yeah.
And then he goes with the sensory depths of, I love the idea that they are so, they know each other so well that they're just able to ad-lib like that.
Yeah. Off topic slightly is that I listened to a podcast this week with the two of them in it and kind of talking about their relationship. And it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense to me what you just said about the two of them just playing off each other, because they really are so close, personally, that it feels like they would do that. It just feels like that. It's amazing.
I mean, when you're spending this much time together, I mean, they spent 8 years together before the movies.
Yeah, but a lot of actors do that. They work 10 years on a TV show.
But
they leave it and they don't talk to the people.
Their type of relationship, though,
it's fantastic. I love it.
Their characters that they play are so close. I mean, another one, Supernatural. Sam and Dean, their characters are so close, and they're great friends in real life.
And they live in Austin, Texas together, and it's a whole thing. But anyway, okay, so Sean says, using his other senses, he smells chips. He is so trying to lead them to poker chips, but it's just...
I think it's actually a pretty good thing.
Yeah,
he grabs potato chips,
absolutely.
and then he smells them, and then he thinks
see.
about it, and then it's like, no, not potato, poker.
You could
Poker,
see.
I barely know her.
I
like that part. I don't know why I love it so much.
You can see how they would, get to that place. Yeah.
Well, I actually think that this part right here is very interesting because what he does is after he makes the revelation of the poker chips, he talks about the cards. And I know that this is a scripted show, but when you're watching it, it doesn't, you kind of forget that and you think about the scenario. Mm-hmm. And what he does with the cards, I think, is really cool because he throws the cards on the ground and then he goes down and starts to read the cards. And with the cards, he like picks out the jack of hearts, and he's like, "This is Brandon, the jack. You're the king. He's the jack, and he's the heart. This kid's got heart. He's a good kid." And then he was like, and then Henry's like, "What's all the clubs around him?" And the clubs, he goes with the clubs, the clover. He's playing poker in a garden. And that was really good. And then Gus points out, well, there's no diamonds around him. And he's like,
diamonds are wealth.
He lost his wealth in the game.
Yeah.
And then the last part is he pulls the king of diamonds out and he says, this is the guy that we have to find. The king of diamonds. The king of the poker
it was
game
very
that's
well
wealthy.
done.
It was all perfectly
well
orchestrated. I loved it. I thought it was such a cool scene. And if you were actually there, like Bill is, like Bill Peterson, it definitely would be believable. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the way that was so like eloquently spoken and played out was awesome. And Henry's just kind of there, just hovering. But when they go down to look at the cards, everybody like drops down to their knees to like peek at the cards on the ground.
And Sean pulls Henry.
He grabs his shirt and yanks him down behind him. Sean's jeans are on point in this episode too.
Yeah. It almost even comes off in that scene like Gus believes Sean.
Yeah.
Like he's
that's
bought
what his job
into
is.
it. I mean,
that's what his job is.
Yeah.
His job is to support Sean in this business. And he does a great job with it.
He does.
Through several different ways. Giving him tips, reacting appropriately to his information or to his like psychic episodes.
So at this point, they have figured out through the help of his dad, of Brandon's dad, Bill, that he liked to play online poker as well.
Yeah, he used to do it at work. It was on his computer all the time. And he gave us his online screen name. Dumb Luck 2.
Yeah. So we that's another clue now. She calls her turkey pants.
All right. So in this scene, we are back at the police station with Juliet, who is trying to figure out something about Lassiter so that she can do some sort of birthday surprise for him. And she decides to call his mother. It's out 19 minutes in. His mother in this scene is played by Deborah Mooney. And she does look familiar. I feel like I've seen her in something.
She is perfect.
But yeah.
In this role. I mean,
God, she's so good.
Perfect.
Her voice, the way that she responds. So when Juliet calls, Lassiter is, like 20 feet away from her at his desk. So she's trying to be quiet, but she calls and right out the gate, she's like, "Hey, this is Lassiter's partner, Juliet." And his mother's like, "Oh no, it's the phone call." And she's got her like raspy voice, and it's very unique.
She definitely is not like a soft-spoken woman.
No. I definitely get her being Lassiter's mom.
Oh, yeah. Like the apple did not fall far from that
Yeah, she's
tree.
a tough woman. Like she's like, hammering in rivets in World War II woman, okay? But no, she's like, "Oh no, it's the phone call." And Juliet recovers. She's like, No. I'm his partner. And then she's like, "His partner? But you're a woman." And she's like, "I know, it's crazy, isn't it?" Just rolling her eyes. But and then his mom is just not having it. Like,
No.
she's trying to get information. She's like, this is a scam. You want my social security number, don't you?
Well, then Juliet gives away information because apparently Lassiter's mom does not realize that he and his wife are separated. And Juliet kind of lets the cat out of the bag. And she's not happy with herself. Juliet's like really upset that she has done that. And she's like, please don't say anything. Please don't say anything. And next thing you know, Lassiter's sitting back at his desk and the phone rings. And he's like, hi, Mom.
She's begging him, please don't tell him. Please don't tell him that I told you he's separated. Please don't tell him. And she calls immediately.
Yep. And Juliet just gets her bag and leaves. She's like, okay, I can't hang out for this.
She's like panicking. She's had her hand over her mouth. She's freaking out, and then she bails.
She knows it's going to get ugly. Pause. All right. And you probably know hold on. Oh, good Lord. Okay. So Matthew, you have probably seen Deborah Mooney in a lot of other things. She is like a character actress, 97 credits. I mean, she's done a lot of things. Grey's Anatomy, Arrested Development, Scandal, some things that you might know. She was in a couple of episodes of Weeds, Bones, and ER, all sorts of shows. She has done a lot. But this was the only time that she was in Psych as Lassie's mom. Gus is so upset in this scene because Sean can identify his tells.
Yeah, so as some context, they're back at the psych office, and Gus is like, I remember, because I play online poker, another hobby that Gus has now.
Right.
He plays heavily in online poker. He's up $7 million in fake currency.
When does Gus sleep?
I know. He's so busy all the time. I don't understand it.
He's got his full-time job. He does psych, and then he has time to learn about dinosaurs, space,
safe cracking,
zip
codes, local newspapers,
poker,
area codes.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah, he has a lot of these little hobbies. But he remembers Dumb Luck 2 in his online poker game. Like, he's seen Brandon playing before. So he wants to get on there and just wait for Brandon to pop in and then try to, get to him from there. And Sean is just watching Gus play from the other side of the desk. And he is just calling it on Gus when he has a bad hand, what hands he has that are good, because he knows all of Gus's tells. And he's telling Gus, like, it's a good thing you just play online because you would be terrible in person. And Gus just isn't having it. He keeps fighting it, and he keeps playing. And they do eventually come across his Dumb Luck 2.
And now they get to lure him. We find out in this scene as well that Gus's name is Big Kitty 75.
As in Big Kitty, the pot.
Yeah.
Right? I totally see this because if I played an online game with a bunch of people a lot, and then all of a sudden I started pretending to be a girl to seduce some guy, it would definitely be weird.
We also find out in this scene that Gus's online name is Big Kitty 75. So when Sean steps in to set the bait for Dumb Luck 2, Gus gets upset because he's like, the guys that I play on here with know that I'm a guy. I can't be a girl.
I get it because he's going to pretend to be a girl and seduce Brandon's character. And I play online games, and if there were people that I played a game with consistently that I knew, even though I didn't know them in person, you spend hours playing games with people, you get to know them a little bit. And if I started seducing somebody as a female, it would definitely be weird and people would notice. I definitely get Gus's reaction to this because he was kind of panicking for a second. He's like, I'm a man. The people I play poker with know I'm a man. And then on top of that, the name that Sean comes up with for his alter ego, he ends on Felicia Fancy Bottom, and Gus makes the mark. What am I, a James Bond villain? Which is so perfect for a James Bond villain.
Gus is so mad.
But he lets him do it. He doesn't stop. He knows that the case is more important.
He knows.
And he lets him essentially humiliate him and mess with him in front of his friends.
He's so mad.
I think that's quote of the episode. All hot internet women are guys, except you're two guys, which makes it doubly weird. So, Sean and Gus have lured Brandon to his coffee house so they could finally catch up with him. And when they get there, they have the situation where Brandon is surprised, and then Brandon gets up to leave, and as he gets up to leave, behind him pulls up a town car, and out of it is the Poker King. And he sees him, and Brandon starts to turn around to leave, but he doesn't get away fast enough. The Poker King gets his hands on him and gives him a little knee to the face as a reminder that he owes him money still. And that is where the guys come in, because now Brandon knows that he needs help.
Yeah, he's not going to do well if he doesn't get some help. So in the next scene, they are in the psych office and they are talking to Brandon. And Brandon says something here that Sean completely identifies with, because... Pause it. So, Gus has tried to tell this kid, you know what, there's a logical way to fix this. Get your job back with your dad and, figure out how to make this money to pay this dude. But that's when Brandon says something that Sean really identifies with. It's like, I can't go back to work for my dad. Nothing I do is ever good enough.
Right.
He can't make him happy no matter what. So now they're just trying to get to where they can figure out how to do it.
And Sean gives the kid some, brutal honesty, and he's like, you're in this situation. You don't have a choice. Whether you like it or not, you have to go back to him. And you just need to suck it up, be a man, and get it done.
Exactly.
And that's something that sometimes people need to be reminded that, it sucks, and sometimes you just got to deal with it.
The tough love.
That is like a Henry lesson right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Henry has said that quite a few times to Sean.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a recycled Henry lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon says that he is right and that he's going to go with them, and he asks for them to take him to his father. So in this scene, we're back with Juliet again in the police station, and we catch her at the start of the scene talking to another officer, asking him, so you don't know what food he likes? And then he says, every time we order, he always ordered separately, something about poison. Lassiter is really paranoid.
That is so Lassiter.
Juliet is so bummed that she has nothing to show for her efforts. And then she's like, you know what? I'm going to go and peek in his desk. And she's looking around in his desk, and she finds a little black book. And she's like, oh, I've done it. This is the score. This is his address book. And I'm going to be able to get all of his close family. And we're going to do a surprise.
Yeah.
And she starts scribbling stuff down, copying it over. And lo and behold, Lassiter walks up behind her and surprises her. But she was fast enough to put it away without him catching her. So we'll figure out how that turns out later. And she feels very good about herself.
Yeah, she's feeling pretty proud that she has come across something great. So now we're at the car dealership, and it is clearly early in the morning.
Do you want me to pause, or are you good to talk?
Pause. So now we're at the car dealership. It's very clearly early in the morning. Sean's hair's a mess, which I think is really cute. Just, it's a note there. Because he's adorable. Anyway, so he goes in and meets Henry and Mr. Peterson. Henry has on another bad shirt. It's very loud. It's got bright flowers all over it. But they've called him in because they found out now that Brandon didn't go there and talk to his dad when they dropped him off. He went in and stole money from them or from him instead. And they've got it on like video on the security camera. So he knows that his son has taken more money from him. And Sean's like, he was supposed to come talk to you. So, it's not looking good for Brandon all around right now. I love too where they're in the office and they've talked about the fact that the son has gotten into the safe, and he says, Mr. Peterson says, "So psychic, where's my son now?" And Henry puts his hands up to his head, to his temples, like Sean does all the time, and makes this like,
come up with something.
Where's he at?
Yeah, like better say something, kid.
Exactly. Well, use your power now.
All right, so in this scene, it finishes up the Mr. Peterson, Henry, and Sean meeting that they had before, after they found out about being robbed. Sean convinces him not to call the police because Mr. Peterson was about to, and he tells him that something else is going on here. Brandon is actually a good poker player. He was really good at bluffing. He actually, tricked Sean, and he should be better than he is. And he thinks something else is going on. And Gus was able to slip him some information before that there is a big poker tournament going on nearby at an Indian casino called Chachanga, which he was able to divine. So that's what we're going to next.
All right, we've got to talk about the moment now where they're in the casino. And
they've caught Brandon.
Brandon
says that he's already cashed in.
Right, so he can't get out of it. And so because his dad just wants him to leave there, give him his money back, move on. Sean is like, he says, first Brandon says that he can't get out of it. He's already bought in. And Sean says that he'll play. And I really liked what just happened with Mr. Peterson looking at Henry and saying, "What do you think? Can he win?" And it shows Henry thinking back to when Sean was a little boy playing poker. And he like smirked. Did you see his smirk, Matt? Because he like smirked and he's like, yeah, he can win. And
there's that
it's a little bit of pride.
Well, I think it's more of there's temptation. Like I said in the beginning, where he didn't want him to cheat people, but there's that temptation to see someone who can be good at something.
Yeah.
Do it. If you had the ability to I don't know, lift heavy things, you would love to see someone compete in some kind of weightlifting competition.
Yeah.
Not to be bad, but just to see how awesome it could be.
Just to see the awesomeness.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. He wants to see the skills that he he has.
It's also like one of those rare moments where you get to see Henry believe in him.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's rare, but man, is it good. He's so grossed out there. It's funny. Midnight Oil. That's another 80s reference.
So in this scene, we are, at the poker table, and we find out that there's essentially like a ladder, and Sean is at one table and the big bad is at the other table, and they've got to essentially beat everybody to get to the final table. And we get to see firsthand how Sean is going to play this game. And he does it by getting into everybody's head, challenging them, making them do things that they probably shouldn't do, and then he calls them on it when they do it. And he successfully takes out the whole table relatively quickly.
All right, so Sean has gone on. He has beat all the other players. He is at the table with the Poker King burger. And this might end up being my wait for it moment, by the way. He figures out exactly how this guy is cheating. And I love that he picks up the poker chips and puts them to his ears. And he tells the guy he's a Peter Pumpkin Eater.
A cheater.
I'm sorry, a cheater Pumpkin Eater. I like that.
And he says, it's like, I'm trying to listen. I can't hear them if you keep talking, burger. And he's trying to listen to the chips. That was actually a really good way to open up a dialogue.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a good way to open the scene.
Because what we've seen so far is that, or the thing that actually like ended it, that let Sean know what it was when Berger took his sunglasses off to clean them, and they like moved past his cards, and through them he saw some like glowing smudges through the lenses of the glasses, and he has pieced together what's going on.
Yeah. So they figure out now that the dealer was working with Berger by getting oil, some sort of...
It was like some invisible ink that you could see with Berger's special glasses.
Yeah, from her hair clip. Then she was like marking all the face cards for him.
As she was shuffling.
And that's how he was winning. And they summarize the whole thing as Sean does. And he keeps talking to the chips or listening to the chips throughout his little summarization of what's been going on. And he, wraps things up kind of nicely. They end up getting a nice little payday from Mr. Peterson.
Peterson, a giant stack of money back.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he originally lost,
well,
but
it had
he got
to have been
a lot
like
back.
At least like $80,000.
Yeah,
by
something
the time,
like that.
Because his son had been stealing from him for a while. But so he got his money back. He paid them nicely, and here's where you see like the temptation to keep going, because they're like walking out of the casino and Sean's like, oh, we could make this money. Gus very practically wants to pay things off.
Pay off
and
debts, the flat screen, the bulk of their debt.
Yeah.
And then Sean walks over to the roulette wheel.
Yeah.
Which is infuriating enough, not that he wants to possibly lose this giant amount of money. They've just got like $7,500 for one case. But the infuriating part is that he doesn't want to play a game that his abilities would actually let him win.
No.
He wants to play a game completely based on chance.
Exactly. It's so aggravating.
It's terrible. It's so bad, and that's the worst part. I would actually be excited if he wanted to play an actual game that inspired like skill and that he could use his abilities on.
But this one is like such chance.
And he doesn't even talk Gus into it. He just throws the money onto the table.
Oh my God.
And Gus doesn't have a chance to even stop him.
Oh my gosh. He just put it all on black.
And they lost
of course
horribly.
They did.
They lost it all.
Because it was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Gus is not happy that they've lost this money. Oh my God. That's his arrest book. Is that his arrest book?
So we are at Lassiter's house now. Juliet has taken the addresses and the phone numbers from his black book that he keeps in his desk, and she's called all the people in it and invited them all to his home. And they are all there outside, ready to have a surprise party for him.
And Juliet is in her little pink sweater.
Oh, yeah. She's dressed up all nice. The chief is there, and Sean and Gus are there. Inside the driveway, there are several, it looks like, it essentially looks like the cast of Fast and Furious pulled up. There's motorcycles lined up all along the front of the house. And there's people all over the yard.
I like how the chief is like, some of these people look really familiar.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, Lassiter has a really weird crowd that he hangs with, like, after work. They're shocked at the type of people that are around there. Bikers, possibly gang members. Yeah. So now we're at the part where Lassiter comes home, and Julia gets everybody to hide and duck behind the cars and behind the hedge of the house. And Lassiter pulls up. Obviously he's confused.
This is not going to be good.
He has no idea what's going on and why these people are parked at his home. Everybody's hiding, waiting for Juliet to make the call. And he's just like looking around, curious.
He said, what the hell? Oh my God.
Everybody jumps out surprised, and Lassiter pulls his gun out and starts aiming it at everybody, assessing the situation. And Juliet tells him it's a surprise party. And Lassiter, why are these people at my house?
Oh my God.
And Juliet tells him that she got him out of his address book. And
Very
Lassiter
innocently.
is very upset.
Oh my gosh.
Lassiter's very upset because Juliet also adds on top of it that, you know, there's a lot of people in the book. She didn't want to invite everybody, so she just invited the ones with stars next to their names. And Lassiter is so upset. And he tells them these are all people. This black book is of people he put in jail.
And the stars are repeat offenders.
The stars indicate repeat offenders. He keeps a book of all of them because he drives by and checks on them regularly in his time. And,
oh, wow.
And now he goes back inside angrily and he tells them that he's going inside to pack because now all these criminals know where he lives and his life is in danger now.
And all the criminals are like nodding.
All the criminals, yeah, they all look like they're chill. They all look happy. Sean and Gus just kind of wave and slowly back away, and then when they're far enough, they bolt.
That was a good ending to that episode.
Which was a great way to end this episode.
Yes.
I really enjoyed, especially like the little things in here with Juliet. Even though they weren't a part of the case, I still thought it was really fun.
Okay, let me write this
So,
here real quick.
Barb, what were your general thoughts on the episode? What did you think about this one? And also, what is your pineapple rating for this one?
Okay, so for me, this episode was pretty good. It was, I would say, a 3 pineapple episode for me. I didn't have a bunch of moments where I was like laughing out loud. There were a few, but I'm gonna give it a 3. It was one of those episodes, Matt, that I kind of forgot about a little bit. Like, it wasn't such a great episode for me. It was okay. I did like how he talked to the poker chips, and I liked a little bit of the Henry interaction. I've noticed McNabb hasn't been in a few episodes, even though we've been at the police station, so I don't like that. I like episodes where like all the characters are there. And this one didn't, I don't know, I never like the episodes where they're not working together a little bit. So they're
you mean Juliet
separate.
and
like
yeah.
where Juliet and Lassiter are like doing their own thing, and it's like,
I did think this was a cool thing though, a cool way to keep them separate. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know if they wanted them separate for a particular reason, but I did think it was a more unique way than like the last time we did that was on the one that we really didn't like, and it was where they were working 2 separate cases that ended up being connected.
Yeah.
And that wasn't as fun.
Well, this one I guess did at least provide us with some comedy.
Yeah.
You know, with the whole Lassiter storyline, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, so I'm gonna give it 3 episodes, and
3
I'm sorry, I'm gonna give it 3 pineapples, and say that I wish more characters had been in it, and that it was just an okay episode for me.
I'm gonna have to agree. I was bordering on 2 or 3. There were several funny little points in here, and we did get to see a little bit of Lassiter's mom. Mm-hmm. We got to see quite a bit of Henry. Mm-hmm. I feel like we did get to see quite a bit of Sean and Gus's relationship in this one, like where they were working with each other a lot, but I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite overall.
It definitely solidified the dynamic between the two of them. Like it was really good.
Right, and that's why I'm borderlining on between 2 pineapples or 3.
That's the only reason I gave it 3.
There's a bunch of little tiny things that I'm glad there's a lot of little things.
Yeah.
But there weren't any really big things that really sold this one for me. And I think I'm going to give it 2. I think if this one came on, I think I would probably skip it because there are better ones, including the one that comes after it. I'm really excited for next week's.
Well, don't talk about it yet.
Okay.
We're gonna say
but
what
yeah,
it is,
so honestly, I would probably skip this one. I think I'm going to give it a 2.
Okay.
I think I'm going to give this one 2 pineapples.
Yeah, the only thing that saved it for me was the relationship stuff. Mm-hmm. So that brought me to a 3. But anyway. All right. Did you have an yeah moment?
The yeah moment, I think I'm going to agree with you on this. You mentioned it before. when Sean saw through the glasses and was able to put together the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was actually a fantastic all yeah moment because, again, it relied on his skills, and Berger just happened to, he caught that little tiny peek, that window of when the glasses like flung in front of the cards while he was cleaning his glasses.
Yeah.
And that was a really subtle thing. And yeah, I think that was it because that put everything together. As soon as he saw that they were marked, everything else made sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be my all yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have a come on son moment? Come on, son.
All right. My come on son moment is when Brandon stole from his dad instead of going in and talking to him. It was like, seriously?
Yeah.
Now, granted, they wouldn't have had the remainder of an episode if that had happened differently. Like if he had gone in and actually talked to his dad, nothing else would have happened in the future of the episode. But at the same time, it was like, seriously, man? You're going to go steal more from your dad? It was, I don't know. That part was rough.
That's a really good one. And in the interest of not having all the same ones, that's definitely a good one. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm going to go with one that's a slightly lesser one, but it still is a come on son for me. It's actually at the very beginning when Henry tries to tell him not to take the case, especially after he's been bragging on him. And like, he knows that this is a perfect case for him.
Yeah.
Like, why would he tell him not to take? He should have come over and been, hey, I got you work. I'm sending somebody coming over.
Do you think though that maybe he did that because Sean tends to want to do the things that Henry doesn't want him to do?
You think that he was like reverse psychology? He wanted him to take it?
No, but I don't think he wanted to just go, hey, I got you work and be. It's not Henry's way to be like that. To be like, here, Sean, I'm handing you something.
I don't know. Part of me likes to see it that thing where they do kind of work together sometimes.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes. Usually it happens like in future episodes where it's a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
And they put their dumb stuff aside and it's like, oh, you hold him and I'll handcuff him or something like that. Right. But I do like to see those moments when they do have faith in each other and work with each other. And
I just think that Henry likes giving.
Like I said, I think yours is better, but mine is still one.
No, I get that. Though.
I did feel that way whenever I saw it.
Do you have a wait for it moment?
Ooh, a wait for it for this one. Wait for it.
I have one.
All right, what's yours?
So mine is when they're at the very end of the episode when they're all on Lassie's yard.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Or whenever she gets the book, because I'll probably say mine again in the interest of not having the same one, when Juliet finds the black book.
Yeah.
Because Lassiter's just not the type to have black book, like an address book full. Because it was either going to be like ex-wives or something, or it was going to be something involving like police stuff.
Well, particularly because it was at the police station in his desk.
Yeah, in his desk.
It wasn't like if it was personal, it would probably have been at home.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I'll give you that one too. We have so many 80s guest stars and references. So the first one that I want to pull out, I want to put out there is Dan Lauria, who played Bill Peterson in this episode, Brandon's father. He was the father on the original Wonder Years series, which is also the role that Dule Hill is about to reprise on the reboot of the show. So he worked with the original dad from the Wonder Years, and now he's going to be the dad from the Wonder Years, which is kind of a cool connection there.
Yeah, he's got a hookup. You can talk to him about it. That's great.
Yeah. 227 was mentioned in this episode. It was a popular sitcom that ran from 1985 to 1990, and Marla Gibbs was the star of that show. She was most famous, though, as her character of Florence on the 70s sitcom The Jeffersons. But like a lot of people were on that show, 227. Regina King, when she was a young girl, was on that episode. She played a teenager, or was on that show. She played a teenager. And Jackie Harry, or Jackie, she was also on that show. So
yeah, that was the scene where they went through back and forth, like listing like members of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that was, but I knew it was a reference. So
yeah.
Wait, is that 80s or is it 90s?
That is 80s. It ran from 1985 to 1990.
You know who I'm. You know, I got your back, dude. I got your back. I know. You know who you are.
That's right. I've tried to be so much more careful. The next one was The Lost Boys. Lost Boys was a cult. It's still a cult favorite. It was a really popular movie about vampires in 1987. It starred Kiefer Sutherland, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, and Jamie Gertz, which were all popular 80s actors. Kiefer Sutherland's still kind of around on the scene, but yeah. And we also had a reference to Midnight Oil when they were at the poker table, and he calls the bald guy Midnight Oil. That is a reference to a band that was pretty popular in the 80s. They actually have been a band from 1972 to 2002. They've done a couple of reunions since then, but the main song that they're so popular for is called Beds Are Burning, and it was popular in 1987. So quite a few 80s references in this episode. I loved that.
Yeah, man, that's what I was saying about the thing. Like, there's lots of stuff sprinkled in this. There's so many things in this, but I don't know what it is exactly. It's just not as exciting of an episode, even though it's got a bunch of these little things just sprinkled all through it. It's got a bunch of the psychisms, and I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't appeal to me as much.
No, wasn't a very exciting case either. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway.
So how does it hold up for you after seeing it all this time? We're on a poker type of episode. I mean, each episode's got a theme. So how does this theme hold up for you?
It holds up pretty well in terms of like the general aspects of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's really any aspect of this
nothing
episode
dates it a lot or anything like that. It holds up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could really think of that would really give it away is if they were like tracking his iPhone or something, and if it was in now. But aside from that, I don't think anything really dates this episode. A lot of this stuff is still good. People are still trying to cheat at poker.
Yeah.
But there's online poker. You know.
It's all still kind of relevant.
So I think it holds up very well.
Let's talk Gus' silly nicknames.
Did we have one? Did I miss it?
Felicia.
Oh, Felicia. Okay, so he didn't introduce him.
I mean, it's sort of.
I'll give it to you. Yep.
Okay.
It's a different type than normal, but it is still one, and I do like it.
What was it, Felicia?
Felicia Fancy Bottom.
Felicia
the James Bond
Fancy
villain.
Bottom. I love it. And Matt, where's the pineapple?
I did not see it. I didn't find one, so I did have to look it up. Did you find it?
I didn't. Now, I'm going to assume that it was maybe somewhere in the gardening place in the nursery, or
I was looking there. I didn't see it there.
Okay. Did you not see it like when they were playing poker, like on a tray or something? And then the other place that is in the casino. Those would be my guesses.
It's supposed to be, supposedly, according to the internet, it's on a tray inside of a drink somewhere.
Oh.
I didn't see it, and I'm honestly not a fan of those. I don't
I'm
like
not
those.
either.
I like
Make
it to
it
be a
more
little more
obvious.
tricky sometimes, and not just like I like it to be something you can see if you're looking.
Right.
That's the fun.
Now I get that.
Those I Spy books as a kid, man. I want that work to pay off.
Exactly.
But no. So I do think that they could do better with the pineapple, and they do. In the future episodes, they get better with it.
They do. So Matt, can you believe that next week we're going to do the last episode for season 1?
It's really crazy that it's been this long. It kind of just zooms by because it's a lot of work doing these, but it's also fun and it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about it.
If nothing else, like we know we get to watch Psych at least once a week.
Right.
Like that's
and
exciting.
Talk about it because talking about it is really the fun part. I mean, I can watch it by myself, anytime, but it's being able to talk about the theories and different points of view that are exciting. And hopefully, hearing from the fans too, what they think about some of the stuff we're saying. These fan theories, they're better when more people get involved. So
it's true. Like when you point out things that I'm like, I totally didn't think of that. It's the same idea. So that's good. But next week we are going to be discussing season 1, episode 15, the last episode of season 1, and it is called Bianca's Toast.
Yep. And please remember to check us out on Facebook. We have our Facebook group, We Know You Know, ... a podcast about psych. On there, we post polls. We let you know whenever we have new episodes coming out. We don't spam you. So if you're worried about us repeatedly popping up in your feed, that's not the case. We post things occasionally. So come there, join us, check us out, and definitely leave a vote in the poll on the pineapple rating for the episode on what you guys think. Very interested in that.
And if you have friends that are Psych fans, tell them to jump on there and vote in those polls too.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find us on Instagram at thepsychpodcast.
And at the same name, thepsychpodcast@gmail.com. You can email us questions, thoughts, theories. If you have any feelings about anything with the show, what's coming up, maybe in the interest of us starting season 2. If you have any suggestions for the show for season 2, if you have any episodes you're really excited for, let us know. We'll give you a shout out when we do that episode. Definitely. We would love for more people to get involved with the show. Show your friends, get it out there. We're very excited to see where the show leads, and we're very excited for season 2.
And we're so thankful for all of you guys that have listened to all these episodes, and we just appreciate you. Keep coming back. Until next week, have a great one.
Have a great week, guys. See you next time.